Hello riders, welcome back to my channel. Today we finally talk about the Rrd Beluga Ml Midland. I finally had it under my feet. We are talking about both LTD and LTE versions. We analyze the materials, the shape, and my feelings in the water. Let's go see how it goes. The Beluga ML is one of those boards that winks towards the unique board. We now know that there are midlines that wink towards the downwind, so oriented more towards the I-wind, while instead this one is oriented to be a unique board. I want to tell you this right away.
Which is about 10 centimeters more in length and 4-5 centimeters less in width. It allows, thanks to the greater length of the hull line, to start making sheet and then detach from the water more quickly with less wind and less speed, precisely because the board has faster displacement. So if that classic beluga, I can go in the water, it has an anticipated speed compared to, let's say, to start making foil of about 4 or 5 knots, but over 5 knots is really difficult. At least that does not really have wind in the sail with this board here, with a completely flat hull from prow to stern. So a board that is very low on the water, I immediately lean in front. With the front foot, the board immediately starts to slide, allows it to go almost 1 more knot at the same wind, that 1 more knot of board speed. Without the wheel, let's just say the help of the wheel and the wind causes the foil to detach from the water more quickly, I automatically manage to have a board that gives you more peace of mind at the beginning, let's say the range of retrofoil. But above all, it also allows me to use smaller front wings than those you had to use with the classic Beluga, let's say a smaller sail or a smaller sail. Exactly.
The table, of course, is impeccably constructed. The materials are great. We have it in 2 versions, LTD, LTE. The LTD is the lightest version. We have a carbon in Negra with 45-degree biaxial braided fabric. It certainly guarantees an excellent rigidity and an excellent lightness that already distinguished the Beluga before. We recognize it because you have it in the most colorful version. We have an orange in the stern part and this black texture in the bow part. The LTE version instead is the slightly heavier version, one board a little softer, therefore suitable for people a little heavier and a little more beginner level than the full carbon EH. Obviously, we have a PVC sandwich, then covered in glass fiberglass. The pad is in Evia of excellent quality, 3+3 with regain. Ben pronounced that have an excellent grip on the foot. Obviously, both versions mount the holes for the straps, mount a lightened handle slightly smaller than the ones we were used to seeing, so definitely improve the overall weight of the boards of both and mount both 36 centimeters long foil boxes so they fit any type. By foil. The shape of the Beluga ML, well, it is no coincidence that it continues to be called Beluga. Yeah, because he's got a lot of the old Beluga. It's basically an old Beluga. Slightly long longer and slightly narrower, typical of midline boards. Okay, but it has maintained both bow and stern that generosity in volume that guarantees us excellent stability. So you can say that yes, it is a narrower and longer board, but without exaggerating. Let's say it's an elongated beluga. That's why it's oriented. To be a unique board because it is not extremely long or extremely narrow, but a fair middle ground. The stern and bow are generous. They are wide enough to guarantee us excellent stability, even if the board is narrower, because obviously the roll increases a little, but the pitch decreases and therefore we are stable, especially when we are standing even in light wind. The edges of this board are extremely soft because it is also suitable for surfing the waves and therefore never sticks to the water. The Opera Viva is extremely flat and therefore the departure is facilitated. Already in the Beluga, the start was excellent. Here we can say that we still start slightly earlier. The deck is slightly concave and therefore it is really direct the relationship that we have between our feet and the column of the foil. So we lower a lot the center of gravity of the rider. And obviously if we talk about the full carbon board and the column of Rrd full carbon, we really get an overall excellent rigidity.
Il wingfoil è pura libertà, è connessione con la natura, è adrenalina e leggerezza. Con questa serie vogliamo portarti dentro questo mondo, fatto di vento, onde e passione. Storie, esperienze, consigli e tanto entusiasmo per chi ama volare sull'acqua. Io sono Nicola.
E io sono Gabriel.
E questo è Wings of Freedom, il primo podcast italiano dedicato al wingfoil.
The sizes available for both versions are 758 fine 51051 wide and 25 up to 135 liters. So even those who are at the beginning, and in any case a beginner or those who have a slightly higher weight, can get on a Midland Comfortable and have the opportunity to start a little before having a little more smoothness. I leave you here the table with the main characteristics and technical data so you can calmly see this novelty of Rrd. The Beluga Ml can be found by the boys of Caucao in Sarzana. Call Paolo. I leave you here the contacts. Disturb him because I'm sure he makes you try it and advises you the right litraggio for you. So please call the guys of Caucao, who will not disappoint you. I waited a while before I could try this Midland, but I was really looking forward to it. I've always been a Beluga fan. And I have to be honest, the ML didn't disappoint either. It is not, as I told you before, a board that is born only to leave first with the light wind. It is a unique board. It is a board that allows us, in my opinion, to leave about 1-2 knots. Before the Beluga, which already has an excellent start in pace, obviously its length is not felt. We do not even notice it. It is therefore a board that allows us to do a little bit of everything, especially in the smallest sizes. The advice I can give you, having tried a few liters, is that you can safely keep the liters you have or had for your Beluga, but with an early departure. So if you had 175 liters, take 175 liters Midland, you will still be comfortable and you will definitely find yourself well. Same thing if you have 116.5, 105, 1110, and so on. So the start is obviously great because the board is narrow, but it is not difficult at all. So we can stomp it, always maintaining excellent stability. Even in light wind, it allows us to ride comfortably. The board, once we are out of the water, is a Beluga through and through. On the contrary, this slightly longer bow I visually like a little more for surfing the waves, while the Beluga is certainly more suitable for those who do a little more freestyle because of the jumps. This is not a board. You can jump a lot, but you can still do something, maybe in the smaller sizes. The carbon version is slightly more reactive, more precise in carving precisely because of this super rigid construction, while the LTE version is a little more for beginners. It is extremely robust, and therefore I also recommend it to the rider a little heavier who wants to stomp to leave before it is anyway of good level. But he doesn't want to have a board under his feet. Maybe that might seem a little more fragile, even if it's not, because Li Negra is really a revolutionary carbon that is already used in sailboats, even to a certain extent. And it is extremely hard and stiff. I found the table very simple. I really recommend it to those who are very comfortable with the Beluga, but want to have a board that leaves first, nothing more. Otherwise, I find it identical and accurate. I do not recommend using the full carbon version. Both for a question of costs, but also because the differences, yes, there are, but they are not that accentuated. And not all of us can realize some small differences, especially for the average level of people. We don't go to see the hare in the egg. We have fun with both one than with the other even. For those who are a lover of graphics, the Graphics RD Carbon is particular. I really like this orange and this weave in the bow. Who doesn't like it? I have heard from many people who prefer the graphics of the LTE version. So, I mean, we also have to buy something we like. So don't necessarily get carbon if you don't need it and maybe you like LTE more. I really like the table as a whole. I repeat, it is a table oriented to the unique table. This has to be precise in your head. It is not a board that you can compare with other Midlands oriented more towards downwind and light wind. Let me know in the comments which version of the two you prefer or would buy, and if you are ready to make the transition from Beluga to Beluga LT by Olte. Of course, my personal advice is that if you are looking for a board only from light wind, keep your Beluga maybe a little more pooled in them. So for me, I weigh 68 kilos. I would have a Beluga 65 liters. And as a wind slide board, I would go on a naval that really allows me to start with 0 wind, maybe a naval 100 liters. If instead you do not want 2 boards, but want to make the transition from your more to 65, 75 liter Beluga to a board that allows you to navigate even with 20 lighter. And before that, well, the Beluga ML becomes your unique table. I thank you. If you have come this far, I invite you to subscribe to the channel because by doing so, you give me enormous support. And in addition, you have the opportunity to see my onboard tutorials, which according to my subscribers are just the connection between theory and practice. Because we go in the water together and discover some mistakes together. Many have used them, and I hope they will always be useful for you to subscribe. And the cost is really a breakfast a month, but it allows me to continue creating content of a certain level. If not, at least subscribe to the channel. For you it is free, for me it is a great help. Put a like and comment.